Full determination to get this going, following nature's instructions. Prelingual, Englishing nature's instructions as we continue our mission here. Welcome back, Artist Journal, April 30th, 2025. Triumphant in the sky as the ship continues to set sail above the clouds. My name's Adrian Pocobelli. A masterpiece awaits us. A masterpiece awaits us. And you say, this old thing? This is your masterpiece? But wait till you hear the music. And the real magic of this work, maybe you know the artist already. I wonder how many people do. I'd say it's probably at least half the audience knows who this is. Of course, this is Asdrubal Waffle under the guise of Pinstake. We'll just need to go through. I don't know if we can do it this episode. One of these episodes, we should just go through Pinstake's work again as I get to know it. But wait, we haven't quite experienced the work yet. Let me turn on the audio. I've watched this several times, and it surprised me. It surprised me how many times I could watch this. Usually I watch things, once or twice. I go, I've consumed it. That was great. This work, when I saw it launched last night, and there was a whole drama, I would argue, a secret drama behind how this launched, which is pretty hilarious, actually. But as I was watching it launch, I happened to be at my computer. I see the notification, and you see the pin, and you see the stake of Pinstake's name here, and you get excited. Back on Tezos after a little hiatus. There was a certain amount of excitement, and it was, I would argue, the music, but it's the combination. And it's interesting because this is what you might consider, and I use the word with a lot of hesitation and reservation, but kind of classic, NFT art. And I really don't like using that word for this. The reason being is, of course, the associations with crypto art. To me, this is art on the blockchain. We've had this discussion many times. This is a different thing. As I joked with August Ground, it uses the same technology. When people ask me, is your show on NFTs? I say it uses the same technology. And I maintain that. Quite a drama here. As people, and thank you, Waffles, for sending me one. Quite a drama here as all of these transfers go through. One to Waffles 4, and then offers started coming in. And rather than accepting the offers, the rest are burned. And then even Waffle burns his own. I don't know. Let's just see I'm just kind of curious if Waffles owns one. Might have just burned his own. It doesn't look like Waffles owns one. When you put it all together, again, it's hard to English. We're kind of back to this notion, this poetry here, this visual poetry. You know what goes through my head among many things is, well, first, the green is beautiful. I love this taking the user interface of whatever software this is, maybe Fantavision, maybe Deluxe Paint, maybe something else. Kind of looks like a Fantavision animation. Is it a custom-made tool? It could be. We don't know. We know Waffles has made his own tools based on Fantavision, Mario Paint, Deluxe Paint, and probably more. I was looking at some of the earlier works, quick aside, from Waffles. It looks like it was Apple Paint, like those earlier works. I collected a few. There's still some I thought reasonably priced, with the Tezos price being what it is. But let's get back to where we were. So first there's this kind of green screen green. There's this, user interface, digital art user interface that's just little fragmented out, so it seems. And then you have this kind of really cool animation with the eyes kind of separating and then all lining up. And again, almost looking random, but there's something about it. And then you put the music together. And then, just like we were thinking about time yesterday, Santiago's work above the couch, you know how I saw this? Again, I was just at the Pinot Collection in Paris. Quite disappointed with the show, I'll just say, and I think a lot of people were, even though people may not have dared say so. But there wasn't exactly excitement in the air. And they have this massive screen when you walk in. And I thought to myself when I was watching this yesterday, what if this had been playing with this music, which maybe I'll just keep playing here. If this had been playing with this music, I'm telling you, people would be saying there is a digital art revolution underway. There is a revolution in the visual arts. And it landed here. Lucky for us, it landed here and not there. Lucky for us. But I'm telling you, what a work. What a work. So all to say, and the music, I have to say, makes the piece. The piece is beautiful here, but the music, and maybe the radical decision here is juxtaposing this kind of poetic music with this animation. I mean, maybe that, it looks obvious when you look at it now because you go, this is poetry. This is beautiful. There's something, it's kind of back to that David Hickey line. Undeniable is undenied, in reference to Rauschenberg. When it's just so beautiful, it becomes undeniable. Undeniable is undenied. Rest in peace, David Hickey. Classic Texas, a Texas art historian. I love that combination too. So yes. To me, the color is, the green is off the charts. As you see here, Waffles, interestingly, there's drama to me, even just leaving this empty and blank. There's a poetry also of the artist's presence. And again, how this launched, to me, it was wonderfully dramatic, with then burning his own as the offers come in. A statement unto itself. How you interpret it, choose your interpretation. Final thing on this before we move on is it's interesting that Pinstake, there does seem to be kind of a process or philosophy that unifies Pinstake's works, say from the Waffles, of these different series that Waffles does. And here it does seem, when you look at a distance, if it's not the same software, it's at least the same software inspired. It's a similar process. Many of them, not all of them, but many of them have music, as we see with the shark there, as we see with many of them. A one of one. Who got the one of one? Let's just look here. Neon Monk, 500 Tezos. So Neon Monk, a big supporter of Waffles there. Very awesome. And just a boot. So rad. That was rad. It's funny. I didn't even mean to switch the tab from the Waffles works, but it's probably good we did. Otherwise, we'd have another 10 minutes of me just kind of wondering and being in wonderment at what is going on there. So thank you for the response, especially on Twitter. Great response there. Thank you for the comments. Let's see what people say. Nicholas Dietrich, thanks for the mention, Adrian, and great episode. This wonderful pixel artist. I believe Kareem, whose work we're going to see this episode, specifically made the color cycling script for his amazing piece, Perpetual Stillness Machine. Previously, color cycling wasn't possible on Aseprite, so it's great to get a new tool in the toolbox. So it sounds to me like Aseprite, you can basically make your own tools to a certain degree, or at least make what I would, to use an audio metaphor, like the equivalent of plugins. Right? Or scripts. And I believe I remember Gogolitis mentioning, I was making all these scripts and plugging them into Aseprite. So it sounds like Kareem made a script and maybe made it public. And then so there, Nicholas Dietrich, checking out that tool. Nice to give credit. Good for Nicholas Dietrich. Classy to just, highlight in big bold letters, Kareem Safa's tool. Credit to you, Nicholas Dietrich. David Nunn, who we heard from last episode. Hey, Adrian, big-time watcher over here, which is awesome to hear. I didn't expect my tweet to get that much attention, so that was the one, I believe, with the, people may not realize it, but Tezos itself has its own circle of influencers. I didn't expect my tweet to get that much attention, and I find super interesting that it did. Interesting. Maybe it did hit a nerve. Maybe the wording was a bit exaggerated, especially the inner circle part. But I think it reached widely because it touched on something that maybe isn't so much talked about in Tezos. I meant the comment just as a personal observation of what I see has slowly evolved as a structure in contrast to the early hen days. Interesting. I never really experienced the early hen days. I showed up, classically, as I do. I showed up for the funeral. I was there December 21st, I think. 2021? A month after Hen shut down, and then Taya took over. Or an Object as well. There was or maybe it was Object that took over. Anyways, there was a brewing fluidity in art discovery and group forming. It was super exciting to just log into Hen and see what was new. In a sense, this remains true. I would say with Object, no hand-holding and no algorithm, just a chronological catalog. And this is a profound point, something we don't get. This is how social media used to be, a chronology. And then they started introducing algorithms, and my sense is, and I remember Instagram was the last, but I knew they would do it. And the reason I thought they would do it is because it kind of makes it easier to insert ads into the feed, I would argue. Perhaps. And also for them to feed you what they want to feed you. What you didn't know you wanted, in a sense, supposedly. You saw it, you like it, you got it. The simplicity of the chronological order. I would argue we still have this on Object to a certain degree. It gets a little noisy with people minting from other platforms, and then it's a little noisy, but we do have it. Of course, we still have a version of that now. But with time, it has grown into a different, not so horizontal structure with shiny shows, galleries, and features that take center stage day by day. But to the credit of Object, and I don't see why they would remove the chronological feed, they rely on collectors, they're not relying on advertising in that feed, they're relying on collectors. And collectors want chronology because they don't want to be looking all around and wondering if they missed stuff, right? So, and I would again give Object credit in the sense that, yeah, there are these shiny shows, as you put it, but they're basically put on the homepage and they're promoted through social media, but if you just want your feed, you can get your feed of people you follow and get it chronologically. I don't see this as inherently a bad thing, but it is worth considering, as it somewhat replicates old models such as crypto art, but in a smaller, less rigid magnitude. And I think that's why it isn't too sharp or obvious to see at first glance. Yeah, and in a sense, this is inevitable, and I think you say this here. And yeah, and let's continue. And we'll come back to this. Interests, narratives, and centralized groups forming is just how scenes where capital flows ultimately structure themselves around. It's just a pattern, in my humble opinion. Indeed. Don't get me wrong, I love Tezos art, and I do agree that it is the best place to make and sell digital art as an artist, new or not. It is a small room, and the gates are partially open. Just the hurdle of getting a wallet and the crypto stuff. Also, a big, huge, massive thanks for featuring my art. My pleasure. That dog was pretty darn cool, so it was absolutely my pleasure to include it. And another way I try and make things as open as I can within my kind of curation of where I'm thinking about the 80-year-old art collector who I'm trying to, out in New York, who's collected their entire lives, who I'm trying to, please, so to speak, or, keep interested, this imaginary collector in my mind. I do try and, that being said, I do try and keep it as open as I can in the sense that with the community, you can always post in the community and I do check it. And I often have at least one work, not always, but at least one work will come from the community, from it being, crossing my desk, so to speak, on the community feed. So that is another way that I try and make things open. There was a time when I would show all of the community feed, but then it just sort of became a way that the show, early on in the show, all of a sudden, it's whatever people posted, and it became too chaotic from my perspective. And then thinking about the 80-year-old imaginary art collector, maybe they're going to be like, well, what is this stuff this guy's showing, right? So yeah. Thanks for the comment, and thanks for the very kind of nice response, just in tone and beautiful artwork. So just great to hear from you, and I'm glad to hear that you're watching. David Nunn. Yudho XYZ, need more art on blockchain, showed outside its digital bubble. So thank you for saying this, because it's a reminder, and I have made great progress in terms of creating a process to basically a template is what I'm working on. Once I have that template kind of nailed down, and I'm kind of learning, there are different options for, say, turning long-form YouTube video into TikTok and YouTube Shorts. It's kind of a challenging situation just in terms of you have to put the art, let's say, on top, then me, but now it's going to be me, like, overlapped a little bit. And so I'm trying to get it right, because once I have my template, I don't really want to, I want it to be easy so that I keep doing it, not some hassle every time and have to reorganize. So I'm on it, and I appreciate you re-mentioning it, because it does get it back to top of mind, because it's very easy for 6 months to pass and all of a sudden think all these subscribers that we don't have, because we haven't, done our proper, promotion of this show. So thank you, Yudo, and glad to hear you're enjoying it. Ed Marola, thank you for another episode. My absolute pleasure, my friend, and you are in this episode as well, coming right up about 2/3 the way through. Also, on Twitter, big response here, 9,400 views, really nice, 68 retweets, wonderful. Thank you. It was a slow burn, and I was kind of like... I don't know. I didn't feel like I had my greatest show when I posted it, so it's always wonderful to hear that, to get a nice response. So thank you, everybody, for the support. Retromania, another enjoyable episode with more real talk. Yes, I do enjoy the real talk as well. I'm glad you do too. I have to say, your distinction between crypto art and art on the blockchain really resonates. Ties into what you said about inner circles on Tezos very well. Appreciate you showcasing all of those wonderful Arcadia pieces too, which is an example of the opportunity that exists on Tezos. Limbo and I had an idea. We took it to object curators, and they supported us to bring that idea to life. We prioritized and did our best to create a great show that represented that idea to the fullest, and will hopefully have a lasting impact. Thanks again for the attention you helped bring to it. My absolute pleasure, and the work that these guys put in to this show, well, it totally showed. So thank you for that, and glad to hear this is resonating. This is, I think one of the great contributions I've made on this show is this distinction. And it's interesting, it took 400 shows to fit, it's kind of one of those things that you're this close, but until you kind of, language it, you're not there, so... it just shows, for me personally, it's very helpful, and it's also a way of distancing oneself from, even when I explain to people what I'm doing, it's like, no, I consider this like a kind of it's not exclusively different, but it's pretty different. It's not necessarily what the crypto culture as a whole is embracing. as their, art, so to speak. And we're going to come back to this in a tweet here that's coming up. Mr. K, awesome to hear from you. Great vibes as ever. Nikki Rorschach, love it. Thank you. Great to hear from you, Nikki. Ed Woods, thanks for featuring my piece. You're welcome. A wonderful artist, Ed Woods. Filippo Francocci, great. Francocci? Or is that Franchoki? Maybe it's Filippo Francocchi. But I should know that. Great show as always, dear Poco. I've caught up with the latest one. That is excellent. Glad to hear, my friend. Phoebe Heath, great to have Filippo in the audience. I need more walls, indeed. We all need more walls. Maybe some of those digital walls. I have to say, going back to Limbo and Manny, usually I'm pretty skeptical of these 3D art shows, like the digital metaverse art shows. But that art show to me personally, looked impressive. Like, it made me go, oh, like, that's actually, it looked impressive. And normally I'm just kind of like, thanks, but yeah, whatever. But that one was impressive. Thank you so much, Adrian. I love that green fire too. Indeed, Suji. I had a lot of fun animating it. I'm really happy you enjoyed it. My pleasure. Great to hear from you. Razzie, I enjoyed watching this episode a lot. Thank you. So, Bombattle, thank you. Pete Ritchie, awesome to hear from you. Mirror, always love your artist journals. Need to watch this one ASAP. Thank you. Jan Lucas Magone, the cool vision. Indeed. I used to call it, back to this intuitive, the cool blue of the future is how I used to call this kind of vision, the cool vision. And we'll just leave that one there. Thank you, Jan, for the comment. Thank you, Neural Divine. Roya, thank you for the comment. Dreamer, thank you. No Hygiene, who is tearing it up. I just saw No Hygiene had 1 million views on one of the images that No Hygiene was posted on Instagram. I mean, that is impressive. We're going to have a few more from No Hygiene coming up. Wasteman Goldminovich, awesome to hear from you. Thanks, Adrian. My pleasure. Can't wait to see more paintings from Wasteman Goldminovich. Oblivion Fields. Thanks, Pocobelli. Those Times Works or Santiago are so good. I've been using Audacity in my process as well. Really fun. I'm going to have to look up this process. It seems like a glitch technique that I should know about. I guess it's using audio software to open a JPEG. I don't know. Rural Idol. Actually, we have a work by Rural Idol this episode. I'm rarely early for much, but I may have been early for heavy paint. After first meeting Santi, also known as Time, during an online residency, I was so inspired by his Renaissance man vibes. Most of these were drawn during our various Discord calls around early 2022. So here, as you see, the brushwork. So these virtual brushes, it brings up a whole debate on this kind of simulation, digital painting. It's kind of like one of those big issues that digital painting has to at least understand, because we see, I think of Rat Cloak, I think of Uxine, right? These using digital tools that basically simulate physical brushes, right? And they work. We see beautiful artworks, right? And so it's just an interesting, just topic, shall we call it, in digital painting. I think I've discussed it in the past, probably a few times. Zogio Gore Secret Gallery. I wasn't expecting this account to be mentioned. Hilarious. I hope you're okay with it, Zophie. James Bloom. The sum total of their experience consists of 3 years flipping generative art NFTs, plus a month skim reading the history of computer art. You must now defer to them you must defer to them in all matters of artistic taste and judgment. This was brilliant. Brilliantly put. It really actually boils it all down. That this notion that the next generation or the next wave of digital art is going to be determined by basically cryptocurrency speculators is to boil it down, is absurd. It really just kind of makes it totally clear here. Because, that is what I would argue, what we're being asked to believe, is that cryptocurrency speculators are going to determine the next, wave of the visual arts. And it's ridiculous. They can have some... So I have no problem with them going, hey, this is crypto art, this is our thing, and we love it. Awesome. And there's even some really cool art in there. But for it to be, this is all of digital art and art on the blockchain is absurd. So I think this James Bloom just kind of nailing it here and boiling it all down, simplifying, which is not as easy as it sounds. So wonderful observation there. This is interesting. A new, actually, it's not so new, I don't think. I've seen the links for it, but I'm seeing it more. This is on Avalanche, so I just wanted to highlight this. This platform, because it's always fun. I mean, I would argue, especially when you're trying to grow, but even when you're not, even if you have, collectors and everything, there's always different collectors on different chains. So if you think the chain is going to be around and your art's going to be around, on that chain, Avalanche is a pretty big chain, which is what I believe Salvor is on. It's probably worth your while to explore and to try out different chains. You'll probably find maybe you get more collectors and then they find you over on Ethereum or Tezos. Often happened to a few rodeo people. I kind of think Ed Woods, I could be wrong, but I remember Ed Woods posting on Rodeo, and then I think ended up on Tezos. I could be wrong about that. Here's another one, Skitchism, an old OG Tezos, I think Han, a psychedelic illustrator on AVAX here on salvor.io. So interesting there. This is interesting too. William Zwei. The details you don't see. Building digital worlds means accepting a hard truth. Most of what you will create will never be seen. You know what's interesting about this? The more I make, the more that doesn't happen. In a sense, I'm pretty economic and efficient now. Most of the work I make, interestingly, maybe it's because I've been making art since, even digital art for quite a while. And just making art before that physically. And now it's becoming pretty efficient where most of it goes out the door, I'm happy to report, in terms of being published. But let's continue. Details that take hours to layer. Textures that carry weight, flattened onto a screen, glanced at for seconds. I mean, there is a lot of truth to this, though. And I even say the AI Girlfriend series, or even some of the promoted stories series that I work on, there can be 10, 12 hours of variations in there. So I don't disagree with this. It's not exclusively true, though. And it depends on your process. I've always struggled with this gap. I work digitally because of what it allows. Scale, depth, freedom. Great points. But the way digital art is shown often limits how it's experienced. The work asks for depth. The medium demands speed. And this is very interesting as well. I would argue this is another subtle, important point. The work does demand to be magnified. When you magnify digital art, as I say, the alchemy of transformation, of scale, the alchemy of scale, as maybe I should hurry before my computer crashes here. The alchemy of scale, though, magnifying work and then for showing it, does change the game. While I believe in real-life display solutions are being developed, in the end, the work was never just made to fit inside a screen or one format. It's meant to spark something, a curiosity to look closer, to stay longer, not a means to an end, but an opening to something new. So interesting point here. And look at this, what this person is doing. Exactly. In a sense, this is part of how a work should be experienced. And it's almost worthwhile for artists to do this, one could argue, depending on the work. So this is William Zwei. Speaking of process, this is Enigmatras, process for In Search of More Letters. I don't think we saw this one. We've been seeing a few process works. This is beautiful. I mean, starts here, and then creates all these variations, these beautiful variations, and then combines all of them at the end. Brilliant and cool, and even love that beige, cream-colored background there. Really nice display, and really nice, beautiful showing of the work in progress. from Enigmatris. We have a couple of more GIFs. These really interesting GIFs from Enigmatris. This episode, this week, Sabato. This week I'm going to share artworks I made around 10 years ago, starting with this one, Selfie in a Fractured Jungle of Sensations. So pretty fun. So early works here. We saw John, the Windows, was showing some works from 2016, 2017. So a very fun idea. Maybe we can all do this. Maybe I'll do this, at least. I mean, it's tempting, because they do get lost in the shuffle. So interesting here. And here's another one. I believe it's called Portrait of My Mother Among the Sunflowers. So early glitch work from Sabato. This week I'm sharing arts that I made 10 years ago. Today I got one of my favorite portraits that I've ever taken. It's an original photo glitched as several Apply 3D models and rendered in Blender. So very cool here as well. Now this is, I actually had a meeting with Verse this week, and I was on Layla at Verse's page, and here I saw Petra Courtwright. Petra Courtwright has another show. And so here, of course, Petra Courtwright, for those that don't know, many of you do, well known as a quote-unquote post-internet artist, and I have huge issues with that term. Because it, again, as I've pointed out before, postmodern means after the modern, and I think they're using post-internet as after the internet began. And so it's like, and to me, when this post-internet thing happened, it was just a media thing. We saw this with someone else who was trying to call things post-AI, meaning after AI started, but post-AI means to me, at least in the way we use postmodern, it means after AI. Not after AI began. And so, well-known post-internet artist, I think it was all just marketing. People trying to sound smart. They put post before, and now it's intellectual movement of, revolutionary importance. So, gorgeous exhibition of Petra Courtwright at Duarte Sequeira, Seoul. And I believe this is part of Verse, as it says here. So just kind of interesting, though. Interesting artist. Sometimes you'll see Petra Courtwright's work, I think it's Société in Berlin here, where you see some of the work. Interesting painter. I believe these are printed. Just printed on canvas with no texture. Digital paintings. So someone to kind of just know about as far as digital painting, since we were discussing that earlier, and you see all these different kinds of brush marks. So I believe that's on Verse, that they are doing something. So find all the release info below. So it looks like they're going live on Verse. So I think has put out a show, Petra Courtwright has put out a show with Verse before. Dan Control, PSM 86, booklet printed in April 25. So this is part of Dan Control's show. Look at how great this looks. So quite a painter. Dan Control, and it really just ups the credibility as an artist if you're making your sculptures, making your paintings, and making your digital work. It just shows range, right? So love this, where the image continues as a painting. Just awesome. So look at this. Painting the page on the left. So Dan Control with a stellar show here. An exciting show. It's gallery weekend here. There was some, stuff last week. I was sort of like meh. I was just in Paris. There's a lot of meh from my own just sense. Maybe it's me, who knows, but just kind of bored. This is not boring. This is wonderful. This is interesting. I've never seen this before. Beautifully painted. Kyle Flemmer, exhibition catalogs have arrived. The Space Program, my first solo art show, is coming to Calgary on May 22nd. So going physical here, digital art exhibition, or at least a physical program. Look at this, the Space Program. So Kyle Flemmer continues to make things exciting here. And of course, these beautiful kind of sprite tile works of space. I believe Hubble or different portraits of the stars. Retro Manny, guess who my next collab is with? My guess here is Go-Go Lightus would be my guess, just based on the color. But I could be wrong on that. But that is my guess on that one. Let's continue. So into the works we go. Let me just make sure I'm stopping that. This was interesting. So Martin Bruce with Neural Divine. Almost asking to happen. sitting on the couch. It's quite interesting as we continue to look at Martin Bruce's work, because you saw it with Test Drive, and we're going to see another Test Drive work here. It's like you can take the thing, and then Martin Bruce will just like paint over top of it with Martin Bruce's techniques. And so it's almost asking to happen, something like this, where all of a sudden, I believe Neural Divine makes AI artworks and says, hey, here you go, do your thing on top of it. So interesting collaboration here. And someone, this weird figure, maybe eating a banana here, and classic Martin Bruce kind of TV snow in the background and these wonderful clouds. Very interesting. Edition of 1, available at auction. And here, Alien Cupcake looks like a new Test Drive work. And here we see some beautiful flowers in the background, beautiful sunset in the rearview mirror, and another one of these wild Test Drive interiors of a car. And then here we have some cupcakes inside with this alien figure serving the cupcakes. Alien Cupcake. I guess that's where the title comes from. Interesting work. Here is Zozo. What a Life on Mars. Nice and simple. So this, that was burned, actually. So maybe, let's just make sure. Okay, so that was burned. So maybe, so just so you know. So maybe things, so I'm really on top of things here sometimes. I managed to get the burned work by Zozo, so all to say, maybe that will be released again, or who knows, but cool work from Zozo. Speaking of cool work, here's KHC, Kurt Hustle Collective, Bedroom. Kind of similar to the other work we saw. Some really cool drum and bass here. Scrolling, Doom Scroller, 2025. Again, you walk into Pinot, you see something like this, I'd be like, I'm telling you, people would be so relieved that they're actually enjoying the art show. So I continue to be, it's interesting. You'd think after however many years we've been here, I just keep getting more bullish is what happens. So thank you, Kurt Hustle Collective, for sending me a work. Awesome. I really appreciate that. Rad artists. Here's Nuv 1914. Wild experimentation here. Edition of 1. I saw Nuv was repricing her works. So get them while you can. You never want to sleep too much if you have a list that you want to pick up. So cool. Just interesting experimentation here from Nuv 1914. Kind of like some playing with like fuzzed out, always challenging. Playing with things that it's like hard to make look beautiful and then making it look beautiful. So just beautiful work here. Algunos lugares podrían estar rotos. So, and just courageous, right? Just courageous work here from Nuv 1914. As usual. The Isolationist, decay as a smart contract. So let us take a look here. So, of course, Isolationists working a lot with basically, busts, you might say, or portraits. Here, I love the, it's almost like an inverted work. I love the light colors, kind of a bold, different kind of portrait here. And you see kind of all these glitch and, standing up to a close inspection here. Decay is a smart contract, 400 Tezos, edition of 1. Here is Cider. Back in Brazil, captured this rare fish on the trip. And it makes me wonder, did actually Cider actually take a picture of this underwater, which would be pretty cool if he did that. So all to say, beautiful colors here, interesting fish. Here's another work. What was this called? This is part of Art of the Millennium Gallery, Zero Reserve 48-hour auction. So this is called Weatherman, I think. And here we see what looks like almost air shooting out here, perhaps. Just cool textures and maybe a person here. And there you see a hand. There is a person. Cool title, Weatherman. Here is Scamra. Good afternoon. So more beautiful textures here. Let's see if we can zoom in here. What is going on with Scamra here? It's almost like a different kind of texture has entered the scene. And fun cat work here too. And then nice stripes. It continues to go somewhere with Scamra. Here's Enigmatris, as I was mentioning before. So here you have a car. And as you see, done with all of these different frames, different renditions of the frame, but keeping the animation basically constant. Very interesting technique, which is kind of underutilized. So beautiful work from Enigmatris. Here's another one. I'm not sure if this is from a video game. I love this series. There's Pixel Lord. So as you see, each one a beautiful work and almost has a physical texture sort of feel to it. Each one could be a print. How interesting. How interesting. Kind of gets the imagination going, and then as a GIF, kind of makes its own thing. So it's interesting. I don't know if any of those have been minted, interestingly. Walk, here's an edition of one. You wonder if this is a continuation of the Guantanamo series. It probably is. And I say, unfortunately, beautiful. Unfortunately, at least just the formal aspects of the work. The content is another story, of course. And yeah, so kind of menacing, interestingly. This is quite a brilliant series here by Walk. Like it's playing, it's kind of beautifying very, concerning things at 2 Tezos. Maybe I can pick this up. At auction. So sometimes you get lucky with Walk's work. Here's One Don't Knows, The Angel of Apocalypse, live now on Super Rare. So great collage artist here. One Don't Knows. Started on Hen, I believe, way back. Did pretty well on Ethereum. And here that looks like Bruegel's, what do they call it? The building that goes to the top of the world that they're going to, Babylon, the Tower of Babylon. I believe. Interesting, kind of a different technique here from One Don't Knows with the melting face. Here, also in the face. Interesting. So still pushing things forward here. Even in the drawing on top, there we see what looks like kind of glitchy effects. Very interesting. The melting clock on the right there. Here is Rosetto, Catastrophe. So collage and digital painting, GIFified. As we see the rocket on top. So fun work here from Rosetto. And this is part of the 2025 Mauna Biennial, which I'm not sure what that is. Museum of Wild and Newfangled Art. L'Inquisiteur, La Game Boy. Fabulous. Fantastique, mon ami. So here we go. Here is Mario is coming along. We got some footprints. We have some footprints. Is that a candle? I'm not sure what that is. And then here we have the Game Boy, beautifully rendered, 66%. And this is still available. There are 4 gone, and this is still available for 3 Tezos 50 cents. This is on salvor.io, Pradana Wisnu Daydream, a 1 of 1 on AVAX. So interesting piece here, nice illustration. Punk history, guitar, kind of music themed, and then interesting juxtaposition with a cigarette underneath. Here's Limbo, working on a new series. Liminalia is my new series currently in the works, in which I move the boundaries of my art again and aim at something I've never tried before. So sounds exciting. Limbo, looking forward to it. Love the composition here. And the computer, the old Mac in the comic panel here, definitely whets the appetite. And did you see the phone here on the wall? This is brilliant. Even the colors, very interesting. Here is Tornado Rodriguez, done for my good friend Killa. Fun work, interesting composition, very interesting ratio of the canvas. There's a Rubik's Cube, some burgers, fries, snake, everything. Cool work here by Tornado Rodriguez. Here is Murakit on Zora. So, of course, doing some work for Zora. Beautiful. Look at this. So just a super interesting textured pixel artist. Was working with some AI, remember, with the leopards, put out about 3 of those maybe a few weeks ago. So nice piece here, as usual, from Mirapixel. Earnings $19.53, $800 volume for a market cap of $6,800, but maybe they get the coins. I don't know how it works. Maybe we can see here. Market owns 90%. Murakit, so I don't know how it works. Let's continue. Canik Zapata. So here, some sort of Greek. I wish I could read that. Yeah, what does this say? We're gonna leave that to another expert out there. Here we see more of Canik Zapata's technique here, but it looks like removing stable diffusion, or at least the very textured stable diffusion from the equation, interestingly. Like it still may be there, but it's not the same kind of hard pixels, rough pixels, we might call them, that were in some of the collector works. So interesting combination of different processes. Here's also from the Museum of Wild and Newfangled Art. This is Rinny Fish. And let's see. Love the fish. Very nice. Good vibes. And fun work. As everything floats together there, bubbles and barbecue bash. Summer is coming. Beautiful colors there too. And these, again, this translucent psychedelia is how that feels to me. Here's Neurocolor. Negative null. Interesting text. And this 353 retweets. So Neurocolor has a pretty big audience here. Interesting pieces, and has been around kind of the crypto art scene for quite a long time. Kind of a, for me, a bit of a kind of in the gray zone, a kind of an overlap, but who knows? All to say, very interesting, big response. Object 1. So this is Becoming Ralph Season 2 by Spiegels Maskinen and co-written and directed by Salawaki. Special guest Quantum Communications and music by El Aguas El Profunda. So I have some of the videos. They're a little heavy. Video is always tricky here, but first we have this work, On the Road. So this is part of an Object 1 show. Interesting dithering. So classic kind of 3D. And love how the figure kind of disappears and reappears as the dog does as well. So Spiegel's at work here. Ralph Andres Anderson, dog car. And then we have a few other works. We can't watch the whole things. I don't think.
At the heart of Western political thought had always been a fear that if you allowed individuals too much freedom, you would get anarchy. But ever since the 1970s, computer utopians in California believed that if human beings were linked by webs of computers, then together they could create their own kind of order.
It's almost like a faux documentary.
It was a cybernetic dream, which said that the feedback of information between all the individuals, connected as nodes in the network, would work to create a self-stabilizing system. The world would be stable, yet everyone would be heroic Randian beings, completely free to follow their desires.
I can't stop
Today,
it.
in 1984,
1984.
Has finally
really nicely
been
done.
Built. Upgrade to the new River OS 1.0 by Riverton Investment Bank today.
At least, I'll say this too, like, you can relate to this work. I've never seen it before. I loaded up the videos and I'm going, at least, like, I can relate to this. And I think back to Pinot, where it's like, you can't even relate. You don't know what's going on. And you're supposed to somehow be enjoying this. And you paid a bunch of money. So here, this is also work you could put in, like, major institutions, I would argue. And they might disagree with me on that, the curators, but I don't think the audience would. I think the audience would be all over it. The audience would be, like, feeling a sigh of relief. Finally. It's a very nice series here. So I can't show all of it because we'll cut off the people at the end. But we have another, and this looks like, wow. This is interactive. I had to stop that. I didn't know how to stop it. So what a series for Object 1 that Spriegels and Salawaki have put together here. Almost has a David Lynch kind of feel to this one. Great music. It's increasingly looking super professional in this scene, isn't it? It's very interesting what seems to be happening here. Salawaki in 3D and the director's chair. We're like, awesome. Mint, so only an edition of one, unfortunately. This is one that I think a lot of people would have liked to have collected. But some collector's going to have it. So rad work, so that's a GLB. We have another one. This is by Sky Goodman for the Museum of Wild and Newfangled Art. And so here, someone watching TV with what looks like some digital paintings in the background. From Sky Goodman, Nowhere Room number 1. Here's Ed Marola with a GLB, and this is also on Object and brand new. So continuing to play around with these pixelated GLBs. So, treading in new territory, pushing the boundaries here. Here's another work, interesting piece by Ed Marola, Antibiotics. Again, risky work here by putting the fuzzed out pixels in the middle of pixel art and then this interesting, beautiful frame, unique frame on each side. It continues to be really cool out here. Mall Mannequins. Here is Zofio Gore. I think a new work. Did we look at this last time? I'm not even sure. We might have. Was there a newer work? This is an edition of 8. I think we might have looked at this. This is sold out. Was there a newer one? Or maybe we haven't shown this. So all to say, Zofio Gore, more beautiful work. Here's Dan Anthony Kelly, Draw a Dog Tuesday. And here we see it, kind of this pixel art that is being animated and then filmed on a screen, interestingly. So continues to play with the different mediums there. Here's her Meep with a pretty rad work here. Love the rendition of the face. Just really original work here. Nice lines. Classic Hermeep. Totally recognizable, isn't it? As Hermeep's work. Not exactly sure what's going on, what is being held here, but it doesn't matter. It's beautiful. Element Lee, Device. I love this. Almost a speculative machine here from Element Lee. Nice little shadow, maybe 3 colors. Here's another one, Key. And then just making out of almost what looks like text and a little bit of pixel art, these old keyboard pieces of a keyboard. Spacebar, return, arrows. A cool work from Element Lee on Instagram. Mech, who of course I follow, a revelation that comes too late. Beautiful piece. Great color here in this kind of white and silvery blue. Nice piece here. Gorgeous. Here is Karim Safa, the pioneer of the pixel art factory. A static framework inspired by circuitry animated through color cycling to create the illusion of endless internal motion. 270 by 270 times 4. I mean, this could work on Bitcoin at that small. So only 270 pixels by 270 pixels, and look at all of the complexity in this. And what's also interesting here are the gradients I found. Just these kind of long pixels done as a true... So we see the color cycling. Maybe this is what Nicholas Dietrich was referring to earlier. Edition of 15, and offers are coming in. 170... Tezos, nice offers coming in. Here's Cash by Braindead. Cool work here as well, with some diskettes hanging from what looks like a plant of some kind. I believe this is on Object or burnt on Object, but maybe will be put on Super Rare. Not sure what's going on there. Let's continue. In the pop art gallery, we have Manadal, Furs and Fins. So cool pop art show, and playing off of kind of a combination of Warhol and Roy Lichtenstein interestingly, because I think it's Roy Lichtenstein who actually did the fish, right? And then putting it within the context of Manadil's cat. I love it. And then making it almost into this Warhol kind of multi-image. Interesting. And here is this great pixel artist, I believe out of Japan, Koneko Niayo. Extremely charming summer work here of the cat, maybe having a coffee outside. Wonderful. Here's Figments, Merryweather, a cool abstract here, kind of pixel art abstract using maybe 3 colors. Edition of 8 for 8 Tezos, still available, but only maybe one left for that cool abstract. Here's Feels, Blink, 111 retweets, 9,000 views. So as you see here, a animated abstract from Feels, as you see. So interesting, slow abstraction. I remember it being faster, but there we go. Maybe that could be my computer. Another reason to speed up the show here, and I think we're going to make it under an hour. This is pretty rad work. This is, Selfu, if I'm remembering correctly. Look at that. Love the audio too. Kind of seems like a homage to old video games. Retro Motherboard, edition of 1. Not unlisted. Very interesting. This is on X. I wasn't sure what this was. It almost looks like Reason interface from way back when. I haven't opened Reason for a long time, but I don't know if this is copyrighted music. So I just give you a little taste there. I don't know if this is an art piece. I thought it went well with the last one. That's funny. Okay, continuing on. Let us continue here. Now, this is also from the Biennial, the Mauna Biennial. This is an artist called Good Bites. Cool abstract here, static, geometric abstract, minimal color. Let's continue. Here is Gons. With a nice abstract here as well, kind of different sampled brushes. Love the cream-colored background. Nice digital abstract. Here's MCHX with a couple of cool minimal works here. Different colors, slightly different shapes, as you can see. So nice piece there, MCHX. Here's Rural Idol, slow change with some grain touch, as it says here. Edition of... making sure I'm not closing everything. Edition of 11 from Rural Idol. So playing again with the mountain and the hill iconography and animating it. Slow change. Here is Urun Yacon, stream number 46. Look at this. Rad textures here of the stream. So just cool. I like the simplicity of this kind of lab experiment that Urun Yacon is doing. This is an edition of 1. Very nice piece. Here's Datura. Leith. I'm excited to announce my first solo project on FX Hash. So this is coming out, I think, today. And as you see, this is basically how it renders. It kind of locked up my computer. I wasn't sure if it was, might not have been FX Hash, but it kind of seemed, that's why I'm showing it here. I was having issues. Strano, meet you at frame 1. So cool animated abstract. Love especially the little details on the top of the cubes there from Strano. Of course, I follow Strano. Renki, Shintaro. So some nice animated abstracts from Renki, as you see. And we have one more. This is a pretty rad one here too. Taro. So keeping it interesting here. Isn't Renki. Edition of 10. So this is available. August Ground picking one up. Klaus, composition number 445. So it continues. Beautiful, simple, beautiful, minimal color. Great color. Edition of 1 for 21 Tezos. Here is No Hygiene with a video. We can't play the whole thing. But just to give you a taste of the weirdness, No Hygiene doing video. So that is an edition of 1 for 1,200 Tezos. With the amount of love that No Hygiene is getting. No wonder it's 1,200 Tezos, 1,068 likes. Where do I belong? This is organic. Like, this is the world is embracing No Hygiene. Pretty amazing. Where do I belong? So these angels, this one, 114,000 likes. I believe this is the one that has 1 million views. Dissatisfied with human anatomy, No Hygiene Googles how to grow wings. Ends up in a weird rabbit hole about birds, doesn't sleep for 2 days. Wild. Has a bit of an internet kind of meme, like true internet meme kind of feel to what No Hygiene's doing. Strange Thing, back. Great to see Strange Thing here. And we see what looks like a mushroom cloud on a cake. So interesting combination. And almost like a German. These look like those old German houses. Interesting. So cool AI artwork from Strange Thing. As we start to wrap up here is Comito Art Center. This is very cool. Heavy metal CD rack. This is a painting. Let me bring it up here. I think we get some close-ups. Here we go. So, gotta love this, and who can't relate to this, who's ever been into music? Especially if you grew up maybe, 20 years ago. So, very cool. I guess that's a CD collection. Acrylic on canvas. This is Lee Kan Kyo, is the name of the artist, I think out of Japan. Here's Nugget Brain, to be continued. And let's see what else Nugget Brain has for us. Oh, so look at that. So even in the Enter Art Fair and La Glace, that's cool. So to be continued, interesting. So maybe they are collaborating with this bakery. How cool is that? So nice painting there. Very interesting. Bobachik Mattia with a new work here. This is from 2025, The Couple. So continues to dazzle. Moto Hero with the squirrels going inside the two-headed person's body who has no head. Interesting. Great work. Gularam, John Rogers. It's Not Gallery. So fun work here. I love the idea of taking one of these signs and making a painting out of it. Super original. This was interesting here too. This is Paul Riedmuller, Key 2024. And as you're going to see here, super sharp pixelation in these works, which is interesting. It creates a super heavy contrast with the kind of fuzzed out background, as you see. And this is interesting too. Adam Lister Studio doing some sculptures. And that is your show, my friends. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for all the support. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, take care.